So, good day everyone. So, we will now continue our discussion on how to make a simple research or the guidelines on how to make a simple research. So, last time we've discussed about the content of the initial pages of research paper. So, these are the title page, the approval sheet, the acknowledgement, and the dedication, and the table of contents. So, after the initial page, we'll now start discussing the title of chapters of our research paper. So we have 5 chapters, and the chapter 1 is what we call the problem and its settings. So the chapter 1 describes the problem and its settings, and it is subdivided into the following. So these are the introduction, the setting of the study, the statement of the problem, the assumption of the study, hypothesis, significance of the study, scope, the limitations and limitations of the study, and lastly, you need to define the terms, and we will discuss the main point of each briefly. So in the introduction, we have here a sample research title. So the social and cultural implications of name calling practices of Filipino. In your introduction, you must provide general information about the topic chosen. You will discuss where and when your topic originated. So, for example, here in our title, you may discuss first the social implications of name calling practices of the Filipino, and then discuss the next cultural implications, and then you can mix it up. Why was the researcher interested in the phenomenon? So what is the story behind your topic? Is the topic you chose is in need of an in-depth study, or the reasons why you came up to this kind of topic? And also you need to include the role, the benefits, and its importance in the society. So why do you need to conduct a study? So the next would be the what we call the setting of the study. So this specifically gives information regarding the location of the study, which may include the country, the province, the city, or the institution where the study was conducted. So number 3 is the statement of the problem. So this usually stated in one broad statement followed by specific questions to the problem. So this answers the questions when to put together, provide answer to the general problem. In making the statement of the problem, you begin with a broad statement expressing the general concern of the study. Ask a series of 3 or more questions related to the general problem. Arrange questions in logical order, and you must avoid yes or no questions. So again, you must avoid the yes or no questions. So after the statement of the problem is we have here the assumptions of the study. So the assumptions of the study, some extraneous factors in the study are beyond the control of the researcher. You can only assume that your study was conducted under required conditions. So for example, you have to assume, or she has to assume, that the questionnaires were answered honestly and that the records provided by a certain sources are true and accurate. So after the assumptions of the study, we have the hypothesis. So hypotheses are the statement drawn regarding the outcome of the study before the conclusion is reached. So this is defined as an educated guess or tentative answer to a question. This is your tentative prediction of the results of the research formulated on the basis of knowledge of the underlying theory of implications from the literature review. So we have 2 types of hypothesis. This can be classified either as a null or alternative hypothesis. So when we are talking about the null hypothesis, this is a negative statement which indicated the absence of a relationship correlation between 2 variables, an absence of a significant difference between the population of 2 group of people or objects, or an absence of difference between or among the means of 2 or more groups with respect to a particular variable. So here in our example, of a null hypothesis, there is in no significant differences in the perception of respondents regarding the social and cultural implications of their name calling practices. So, based on the example, what it makes as a negative statement to become a null, it is the word no here. So, while in an alternative hypothesis, we usually call this as a research hypothesis, this states the presence of a significant relationship between the independent and the dependent variables, or the presence of a significant difference between two means or two proportions. In our example, we just remove the word no to make it as our positive statement. So after the hypothesis is what we call the significance of the study. So you as a researcher must justify your choice of problem by showing us a practical importance, especially to the intended readers of the study. What benefit, for example, with society derived from a study on name-calling practices in the Philippines? So, after the significance of the study is our scope, the limitation, and limitations of the study. This states what the study covers and its boundaries. So, for example, the respondents of your study will only focus on a female ages 20 to 30 years old. Going back to our example titled earlier, limitations specify certain constraints in the study which are essential but which you as a researcher may state that his or her study concerned only with the name-calling practice among Filipinos in a rural community, which is the limitation of the study. So, last but not the least is the definition of terms. So in here, this is included in the chapter 1 because this is necessary to clarify terms used in the study by defining them contextually or operationally. So this may include newly invented or coined words, technical terms, or terms with a special meaning. So again, the content of the chapter 1 or the problem and its settings or the introduction, the setting of the study, statement of the problem, assumptions of the study, hypothesis, significance of the study, scope, the limitation and limitations of the study, and the definition of terms. So when we are making the chapter 1, the number of the pages of chapter 1 is minimum of 5 pages. So um, that is all about the chapter 1 or the problem and its setting. So thank you very much.